What is going on, gamers? Aevatrex here, and today I'm gonna go ahead and go over the heroes that I use for Insane Dungeon 5, at least the ones that I use the most, and go over the artifacts and the crests as well as the talents that they had. That way it gives you an idea of what you would need, but just keep in mind that just because these are the heroes that I used, it doesn't mean that those are the only heroes that you can use. There's always some replacements. They might not be just as good, but there's always replacements. Now in the comment section, I had a lot of comments saying, well, do it without Minnow, do it without this, do it without that. The problem with that is if I do it without Minnow, then somebody's gonna say, okay, well, you use this hero that I don't have, do it with this, and then it's just gonna be an endless cycle just because there's so many heroes now that not everybody's gonna have the exact same heroes, the exact same talents and whatnot. So it's really hard to do a specific request like do it without this, do it without that, just because there's so many choices that there's somebody out there that's not gonna have a specific hero. So really what you have to take away from these dungeon videos is basically just this strategy that's used and try to implement that with your own heroes. The one that I know that would hurt the most not to have, well, I mean, outside of Pumpkin Duke, of course, is Minotaur. Because Minotaur is not a hero that you can roll, it's not a hero that you can get with shards, it's strictly off of gem purchases, and is one of the biggest heroes in dungeons, so I do understand that some of you might not have them, and if you got to 410 without Minnow, then kudos to you. I really don't think that your strategy would change any for these dungeons, but I just wanted to address that because there was a lot of comments like, do it without this, do it without that. And I really can't, just because there's so many people that won't have specific heroes that it will be just an endless cycle. But anyways, let's go ahead and go into the heroes that I use. Of course, I use my Minotaur. I did a video on this Minotaur right before the dungeons came out, so you pretty much already know what he's got. He's got 5 War God Crest set, he is 5 of 5 Revitalize, and he is 10 of 10 skill. Another hero that I used quite a bit was Dread Drake. He is 8 of 8 Berserk with 10 of 10 Cannon Blast, as well as I was running a level 4 Life Drain crest on him. The reason for this is because I use Dread Drake a lot to lead and also tank. So a lot of times what ends up happening is Dread Drake goes ahead and proc. A lot of people forget that when he procs, he negates 90% of damage taken for 2.5 seconds. That is a long time to negate almost all damage. A lot of people seem to forget that. Not only is he going to be negating 90% of the damage, he is going to be life draining that damage back, and the artifact that I chose for him is Goblet of Life, because not only is it going to improve his already huge HP pool, but it's also going to help him stay up by giving him that random recovery of 35% max HP. So that makes him a really super good tank. And don't forget that Cannon Blast also does targets random targets. Usually it's buildings like towers and whatnot, but it also stuns. So this is huge. This is like a Spirit Mage 2.0 that's probably a little better just overall. Now another, I forgot to go over Minotaur's artifact. Of course I use Axe of Strife because you want damage, as much damage as you can in one proc. So this is what I went with Minotaur. Another hero that I did use was Valentina. Valentina was mainly there to feed energy to Pumpkin Duke, because really at the end of the day you're relying on Pumpkin Duke to get stacks and stacks, and then waiting for that Minotaur proc or just for the heroes to go crazy, and Valentina just helps a lot with that. The crest that I used was Revive, because nothing else really is going to benefit as much as our Revive, because if Valentina dies, comes back and procs and feeds your heroes even more energy, that's all you really want Valentina for. She's not there to destroy anything. The artifact that I chose for her is also Goblet of Life, just because it gives her more HP, and also it gives her a random heal that can maybe make the difference in one. But you know, there's other ones that you can choose, but the Goblet of Life I think was the one that I really prefer for her. The other one that I used was Golem, 10 of 10 skill. He came with Revitalize, which actually helps quite a bit, because this skills, it actually it shields your heroes from taking damage as well as healing. So keep in mind this. Okay, restores HP equal to 1440% attack to allies and reduces their damage taken by 60% for 5 seconds. So keep that in mind. Imagine Dread Drake once he procs, as well as getting this shield from Golem. This is, I saw a lot of people ask me, well, how come your Dread Drake isn't dying from that Skull Knight? Just going to town on him. Well, that's because when you combine Dread Drake's proc along with Golem's proc and all of the shields that they provide, Dread Drake is going to stay up by quite a long time. Now on this one, the crest set that I chose was life drain as well, for obvious reasons. You know, every time he attacks, he's going to be gaining life back, and with Pumpkin Duke stacks, that is going to be really tough to stop, especially considering the HP pool of Golem, and then of course Goblet of Life as well. Pretty much the same idea as Dread Drake. Now, the next one that I used was Pumpkin Duke. Pumpkin Duke is pretty much the one that makes it all happen. Without Pumpkin Duke, those dungeons are just straight up impossible. If you do not have a Pumpkin Duke, you're not going to finish these dungeons. Point blank, period. A lot of people say that Mino is the most important hero. Not even close. Pumpkin Duke is the man that makes it all work. As you guys know, you guys are probably pretty familiar with Pumpkin Duke. Revite, Berserk crest set, and then the artifact is Blitzscroll. Blitzscroll, there's two reasons for Blitzscroll. Not only is it going to increase the attack speed, which is going to help Pumpkin Duke stack, it also prevents a stun immunity for 3 seconds at a 50% chance, which means that he is not going to get stunned by a tower, and just that one stun that misses him is going to let him stack and stack and stack. So Pumpkin Duke and Blitzscroll is probably the most important thing out of all of this. Another one that I used was Cupid. Pretty much the same as Valentina. Now the only other thing that changes with Cupid is that, first of all, Cupid is going to add an attack buff with his proc, so that is going to help Minotaur destroy the buildings as well as all the other heroes. But he's also going to be in Victor's emblem. Now there's two reasons for that. First of all, because, you know, I can only use 3 heroes in Goblet of Life. But the second part is that Victor's emblem is actually pretty useful. It's going to reduce the damage taken by 20%, which is, I guess you can say, it's kind of like extending his HP, but not really, just because he's just going to be reducing the incoming damage. But he's also going to be reducing the damage given out, and this is especially useful when you're going to be pulling out an SK to stack on that SK. Very, very useful for that. And then one of the other heroes that I used here and there was Spirit Mage. My Spirit Mage is not that impressive, but as you guys saw in my last video, it is one of the heroes that I used to 3 flame 510. It is 5 of 8 War God. It's only 7 of 10 skill, so like I said, not that impressive. The Crescent is a 5 bulwark, a 4 or 3 bulwarks. You know, it pretty much works the same. As long as the Pumpkin Duke is stacking and stacking and stacking, Spirit Mage is going to do damage. And then of course the artifact is Axe of Strife, because you want Spirit Mage to do as much damage as possible. Now there are some other heroes that I also did use here and there, like an Arctica, Maltanica for instance, and then there are some times where I use Skull Knight just to kind of battle their Skull Knight. But I found that the Minotaur, the Valentina, Dread Drake, Golem, Cupid, and then of course Pumpkin Duke is probably the most solid and most overall best team that you can get. Like I mentioned, there are some exceptions. If you don't have specific heroes, of course you can even try Reaper, you can try Spirit Mage, etc. But that's the core that makes it all work. This is probably the team that I'm going to be using when I try to 3 flame all of them. So keep that in mind. Now before I go ahead and end this video, I wanted to ask you guys one thing, because in my channel, of course, we're going to have Castle Clash. My channel is based off of Castle Clash, so that's not going to go anywhere. And I am doing my Walking Dead series, which a lot of people ask for the series. And the problem with that is that since I don't do YouTube full time, like a lot of the, the big YouTubers, I find it hard to kind of do daily uploads of so many different games. But I am also seeing that a lot of people want to see other games like Clash Royale, first-person shooters, etc., etc. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a poll, and it's gonna be on the right-hand side of this video. That's gonna come up right now. Now, if you're in mobile, you probably might not be able to see it. Maybe you can. I don't know how exactly it's gonna work on mobile. But if you're in mobile, you probably will have to go to the desktop to actually see the poll. I'm gonna leave a poll to see what people want to watch other than Castle Clash. Do you guys want to see more Telltale games? Of course, I'm gonna finish Walking Dead because it's already started. That's not gonna go anywhere. Do you guys want to see more Clash Royale? And then I'm gonna put a poll depending on what I think you guys want to see, and I'm gonna see the results. And if you guys want to see more Clash Royale, maybe more Telltale games, then that's what I'm gonna do. Of course, Castle Clash is not gonna be part of the poll because I mean that is my channel, so that's obviously not gonna go anywhere. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the answers are gonna be like. And depending on those answers, that's how I'm gonna move my channel forward. I try to do my daily uploads, but a lot of times it's hard to come up with all of this time to make so many different videos for different games, etc. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until later, bye.